My dear ones, my Lumok name is Italim Spath, and I'm from the Squaw First Nation. And I'm also president of the Wild Salmon Defenders Alliance. And we are becoming a powerful force to protect and defend our wild salmon from all industrial harm. And one of those harms that our wild salmon are facing are the open net pen fish farms. And it's long overdue that those fish farms need to be removed from the migration routes of our wild salmon. I'm also part of the wild salmon caravan, and we travel all the way up the river to the headwaters, and we've spoken with all the different First Nations along the river. And every time we talk about the open net pen fish farms, they talk about how many pre-spawn deaths there are. Many of them cannot make it up. They see the dwindling numbers of our salmon runs, and they see too many farmed Atlantic salmon caught in their nets. And some of those fish look like they're diseased. They're jaundiced, yellow and green looking, some of them. And so our wild salmon are endangered. And the same salmon that swim past our villages and our communities all along the rivers are the same salmon that swim past those open net pen fish farms. And I come on behalf of our Squaw First Nation, who has been a very powerful and strong supporter of getting fish farms out of the ocean. And we followed the science, we followed the political action, we followed what the environmentalists are saying. And we're seeing and witnessing that there's such a huge groundswell of people internationally who have recognized that open net pen fish farms harm not only the wild salmon but the marine environment, the herring, the clams, and other species. And as we see the dwindling numbers of Chinook, as we see a dwindling number of other salmon runs, we see the whales suffering. And this, we know, is directly related to the open net pen fish farms. Now we know that there are many other dangers that our wild salmon are facing, but there's one real danger that our wild salmon are facing, and that's the open net pen fish farms, with their parasites, with their diseases, with their pollution. And it's a solution. A solution is in the ready. Move them onto land in containment. Get them out of the migration routes of our wild salmon. This is something that can be done. When we look at climate change, it's a bigger issue. But when we look at the open net pen fish farms and what they're doing to our wild salmon, there's a solution, and it must be done. We must follow the lead of the state of Washington, who legislated open net pen fish farms out of their coast. And they would like to see Canada do the same thing, so that we can have our shared Salish Sea fish farm free, and give a fighting chance to our wild salmon to rebound and come back in stronger numbers than we have witnessed. And so we as First Nations people all along the river, I can let you know that we are in solidarity with the Dzawada'enuxw people. We're in solidarity with the Namgis. We're in solidarity with the Mamilili Kula, who have been fighting, to get the fish farms out for some 30 years now. My hands go up to all those indigenous people and their supporters who have been at the fish farms, occupying them until an injunction came. And now we see that one of the last stands for our wild salmon seems to be the legal case to get the fish farms out, for the Dzawada'enuxw Nation and other nations to assert their indigenous rights and title to be the proper stewards of their territories, their lands, and their food. And so that's why we, as the Wild Salmon Defenders Alliance, are mobilizing as much support to rally behind them, not only politically, not only morally, but we're also backing them up financially as well. So we know that this is a winning case. We know that Jack Woodward is an excellent lawyer, and so we know that when every time that we invest, not contribute or donate like a charitable donation of any kind, we're investing our ability. We're investing in what can happen, and that is to ensure that a wild salmon fishery continues to benefit Indigenous peoples, sports fisheries, ecotourism, and all British Columbians. So this is not only in the best interest of the Indigenous people who are really fighting and taking leadership to get the fish farms out, this is in the best interest of all British Columbians. So we'll see you.
Thank you, Eddie, and now the floor is yours, Jack.